Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Boro Tailgate Talks. What number episode are we on? Like 55?
That's put me on the spot with that one. I think this is 55.
You said yesterday the show, the interview.
Yeah, the interview's 55.
Yeah, no, that is right. The live will be 56. Yeah, this is 55.
55.
Yeah, we're just so prepared for so many things. Like, it's just crazy.
55 is impressive.
Yeah.
It's been a year.
Yeah, it is. It has been a year. It has been a year exact since we started this. But this episode, we have an Edinboro University alumni, and I still call it Edinboro University. I think we have the right to call it because we're
grandfathered in.
We're grandfathered in because we're
Yes.
the last. Because the next year is like the Penn.
Like a Penn West
Yes,
class.
we are the last
Yeah.
official class from Edinboro University.
Yeah. The PA announcer for the Cleveland Cavaliers and Erie SeaWolves. I did not forget that. Sean Peebles. Sean, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, this is exciting.
This is awesome. It's always great to come back to the homeland where it all began.
Come back home.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think you just mentioned it to us. Tomorrow is the 6-year anniversary. You said of you getting
the call.
The call for the Cleveland gig.
Yeah, correct. And
That's pretty sweet.
I couldn't really say anything until the league and the team made it official. So
Yeah, right.
So the 10th, yes, but then everybody else knew on the 17th.
No, okay,
Or the
that's
16th,
fair.
technically. Yeah.
It's like I said, thanks.
I got it down at the bottom.
I told Alex, like, remember that. I'm gonna forget it.
Yep.
Remember.
And we got it right off. It's done. It's
Right
out.
off the bat.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's pretty good timing.
There we go.
Absolutely.
And you'll see Richie come in or whatever. He'll do that to fix cameras or whatever.
We could
So,
just have
'cause he
Joe
walks
wear
in.
the headset that connects to there,
We
but
could, but
See, there he goes.
Oh, there he goes. Bye, Joe.
Old school.
see you, Joe.
There we go.
Okay.
But yeah. So you graduated from Edinboro in 1996.
That's right.
And I actually did look that up, and it was correct. And also Sean mentioned it before the
Yes.
show, so it's correct.
Mother's Day of '96.
That's right.
How about that?
I do remember him saying, because Sean actually came to one of my classes for Dr. Raymond, and he didn't mention that, so I did remember that.
Yep.
Did I remember it for this? No, I did not. But yeah, so you were the PA announcer for the Erie Bayhawks from 2010 to 2017-ish?
It's more 2000. I came in like early 2009, it's like February of '09. And even with the Cavs gig, I was still able to do games in Erie when the schedule allowed, which is a majority of them, and was a part of the organization until they turned the lights off 2 years ago. So yeah, my last game though with them was in early March of 2020, and we know what happened not long after that.
Yeah.
And little did we know that game that night at Erie, they were going on the road for a few, and it's like, okay, good night, Bayhawks fans. Safe travels, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you back here on whatever date it was, and we never came back.
Wow, that's crazy.
I actually went to a Bayhawks game in 2019. Now that I remember, like Dominique was there, I think.
Yeah.
Signing stuff. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, he did does a lot, and I think actually the night that he was there and did that part, I was not, because I think that was one of those conflict games. But yeah, it was a great run, and that whole thing just kind of fell into my lap, because they needed somebody to fill in one night, and I never did, sports really of any kind except for gymnastics once. And
Okay.
but they had known that I was a DJ, which I got my start technically here at Edinboro, and I was like, sure, I know basketball enough, I can make it happen, and they ended up liking something, and so I became that for them, the announcer from that night until, like I said, till the very end, and then obviously opened up some pretty cool doors along the way.
Crazy how those things work out sometimes.
Yeah.
Timing sometimes works on your side.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Usually I'm the day late, dollar short guy. But for once,
fair.
something actually worked out in that regard. And again,
There you go.
some of the other things that have come my way because of that moment, it's been a fun ride so
Yeah.
far for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So of course, obviously we mentioned you're the PA announcer for the Cleveland Cavaliers, so I think it's only appropriate that the first question is to ask, what are your thoughts on the Atlanta Hawks?
We can't even get into the season because literally the Cavs are playing there tomorrow for
That's
a
right.
preseason game.
That's
So
right.
so we'll see. I mean, obviously Atlanta is they're one of those teams that I mean they knocked Cleveland out in the play-in game 2 seasons ago. So they obviously they've got a good core, and I think they're like the East at both conferences. I think this year are I think pretty much wide open from top to bottom.
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
Atlanta can definitely be one of those teams, like an Orlando or an Indiana they have just enough pieces that can really make a good run at the right time. So I would never count the Hawks out, and because again we've seen the best of them, in the last couple of years alone, and they obviously can light it up and get some wins.
Yeah, and I will say this: the first thing I mentioned to Sean when he showed up to Ron's class was about the Atlanta Hawks. So
And you were literally sitting right in front of me. So
I was.
So everything that came up, there was some sort of Atlanta reference.
There was.
Yeah.
There was.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were just talking about this kind of at the beginning. With your opportunities, obviously early, you kind of got some opportunities DJing and stuff like that here. So especially nowadays, really the field you work in is a really lucrative market. Obviously, a ton of people that are looking to get into it. So how important would you say it is to like get your foot in the door early, whether it's an internship or something like that?
Very important.
Yeah.
I mean, internships obviously, give it's technically it's a job interview. You're going to work for an organization and show them what you can do, because there are so many people that want to get into media, get into sports, get into marketing, so you do have to do something that sets yourself apart.
Yeah.
And internships are great opportunities. When I did mine in the summer of '95 in Pittsburgh at a radio station, I mean it was unpaid, but I mean, from a financial standpoint, but what I got in return, the relationships that I made, the connections that I made, the experiences that I have, and the stories that I'm able to tell from that summer, you can't put a dollar figure on that.
It's true.
And again, because of some of the people that I met even back then, it opened up again other doors.
Yeah.
And I know that there are still people from back then that I can lean on today, or reach out to me from time to time, like, hey, this opportunity came across. There's something you're interested in doing.
Right.
But yeah, I wholeheartedly feel that you definitely should go after internships. Even from a public address standpoint, I was just looking at some stuff on Facebook earlier about it. People are asking, hey, how can I get involved?
Yeah.
And the best thing is just to network and to reach out to schools and universities and even pro and minor league teams in your region, and just say, hey, this is something I'm interested in doing. I know I wouldn't be your number one right now, but could I at least come and potentially audition to kind of be like someone that you would think of in the instant that you do need somebody in a moment's notice. And you've got to put yourself out there. I mean, social media is great because you can upload material and and do all that stuff so quickly, but nothing beats a phone call or an email just to reach out and be like, hey, I'd like to be involved. What can I do to get my foot in your door?
And obviously you're an alum here, so you know just as well as anyone that we're pretty lucky. We're a pretty good pipeline between Cleveland and Buffalo and Pittsburgh. We're kind of in the middle of that confluence of all three.
Absolutely, and yeah, we are definitely in a great spot for
Yeah.
sure. 3 major markets, not too far away, and yeah, you definitely have to seize every opportunity that you can get. And if you're not seeing something, then just kind of double check yourself on what you're doing for those opportunities and change some stuff up. And you mentioned, there's an extensive alumni base of people that walk through these doors here, and myself included, that'll be more than willing to help. All we need is an email, a text, a call, something. Say, hey, Sean, I'm looking to do this. Can you help me out? And I know there's so many others that have gone through this university that would gladly do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this question's more based on like, from what I remember from when you showed up at Ron's class a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned how it's very, very, very important to take the opportunities that are in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, because since I was in that class, I know your answer on this. But for like other people, why is that so important to take the opportunities when they're, like I said, right in front of you?
Well, because if you don't, then somebody else will.
Yeah.
And again, you like when I went here, my whole target was radio. I wanted to be on air. I wanted to be like the next big thing in a big market, And life happened with me early on where I didn't get a chance to take that road directly. I had to take a few off ramps, a couple back roads, and things really kind of worked out in a really cool way. But if you would have said to me sitting in that room when I was here like you are and said, hey, looking down the road, you're going to end up being, the public address announcer in the NBA for not only the Cleveland Cavaliers, but your favorite team of like all. And I would like, there's no way, because of my reluctancy to speak publicly, my confidence in myself, my belief in myself, and having the skills necessary to do something like that on that level. And again, through experience here and other things that have happened in my life along the journey, it's happened. And only because if I got asked to announce a gymnastics competition in 1998, I said yes. I didn't know anything about gymnastics, but I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. Little did I know it was technically a part of the road to get me to here and get me through the Bayhawks and through the SeaWolves and some other things I've got a chance to do. So yeah, anytime you get a chance to do something, even if you're not 100% sure of yourself in doing it, you won't know until you try. And if, again, I said it just a few minutes ago, if you say no, next man up will say yes, and they will take that opportunity from you. And that's, you can't afford to leave opportunities on the table and stones unturned.
Yeah, and just like Alex said, it's as simple as that, really.
It really is.
That simple. So,
Yeah, and again, stepping out of your comfort zone. You know what you want to do, but you also have to be flexible to say, well, this is kind of in that realm, and this actually seems pretty neat. And if you have a slight inclination or interest in trying something like that, then do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I always knew I was very good at speaking, and I knew I could do that, and just practicing on I'm just practicing on my phone by myself or whatever. But when I started this, I mean, I had confidence that I could do it, but I wasn't. It was like one of those things I wasn't sure.
It was like untested confidence. Yeah.
Exactly,
Right.
like untested. So it was like, the more I did it, and the more I stepped out of my comfort zone, wearing glasses that aren't mine, and filming silly
Sounds
videos.
like a good story there.
We'll tell you after.
It's a long story
it's
now.
It's a very long story, but stepping out of our comfort zone, because if we don't, again, how are we gonna grow the show, really?
Exactly.
So
And grow yourself, professionally, because
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are young, and you have kind of thoughts and ideas of where you want to go in life.
Ambition.
And,
Yep.
Goals, dreams.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
I mean, there's
We use that word a lot.
yeah, there's things you want to do. So the only way to do it, and that's the beauty of this university, is the fact that we're sitting in this room, and you've got an amazing radio station across the hall. There's so much. You guys have so many amazing resources right here within your reach.
We've talked about that a lot too on this show,
Yeah.
about how lucky we are to have this.
This facility.
Yeah.
And it gives you like real world experience to get your feet wet, get your hands dirty, in this industry or any industry. But me, speaking because I came through this building, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
You guys are really fortunate to have this.
And you already kind of answered this with the first question I asked and everything, but just to reiterate and everything, how important is it really to reach out, talk to people, make those connections, have those connections down the line, have those people that you can fall back on in the industry?
It's everything. You absolutely have to meet people, and I've always been a big supporter of you respect and treat everyone the same, regardless of where you are in the ladder of life. Because
for sure.
You could be in your early 20s right now or mid 20s, and you go somewhere, you're working somewhere, and you just don't respect people the same way that maybe you look at the guy in the suit upstairs versus the guy downstairs that's greeting people at the door, or has to clean
in the bathrooms.
Yeah, you treat everybody the same, because you just never know. One day you may end up sitting across the table from someone, and they're like, "Yeah, I remember you."
Yeah.
And the story is going to come around, and then next thing you know, you're sweating bullets because you're like, "Oh, that's right. I did do that. I did say that. I did treat you that way. I kind of look past you because I have my eyes further up the
Right.
up the
All
rungs."
of a sudden, that one tiny little interaction could be your whole career on the line.
It can derail everything.
Yeah.
So always keep that in the back of your mind, and always know that no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you're representing yourself, you're representing your family, you're representing the organization, you're representing this university. I've got this on today, but everywhere I go, I'm always representing the Cavs.
Yeah.
No matter what I'm doing, if I'm out socially, if I'm just here doing this, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always representing Cleveland. I'm representing, like I said, myself, my family, because they're all part of that.
Yeah.
And you always got to keep that in mind, and that also applies to like your social media activity, of course.
For sure.
Because everybody's always watching everything.
Everybody.
Everything always goes under a microscope. Even when you think it's not, it does.
Nowadays, I think it's even underrepresented. We talked about this in one of my classes. It's the statistics like 93% of employers will check your social media pages.
93 seems low.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like that's actually. I feel like that's probably more like
Mm-hmm.
100%. Like.
Yeah, because if they're not, they're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
Because they're going to find out after the fact that, oh wow, this guy isn't who we thought he was.
Yeah,
Look
and
at
then
the
you're gonna look
stuff
worse.
he's, You know.
And here's the thing too. It's one of the things I learned from one of my favorite professional wrestlers, and you did mention you were a big wrestling fan.
Since I was that
So I'm
big,
sure,
man.
so I'm sure you'll know the name, but no, he basically said like you never know who's watching, and one night he decided to just, and this wasn't on social media, but this is more of like performing and everything, but once again, you never know who's watching, and he had one of the best matches he's had in his career, and turns out the guy that was watching was Chris Jericho. So he got recruited to the new wrestling promotion AEW, and hasn't looked back since. But that applies to social media too. Like if you put your content on social media, you never know who's watching. So yeah, that's social media can be key.
Well, and it ironically, when I interviewed for the Cavs position 6 years ago, they asked for all the boxes that they had in the application process. I checked. The one thing I didn't have was any video, because I'm not the Bayhawks. How am I supposed to get video?
Right.
There was no like the games weren't really broadcast or whatever. So my wife did a video and then posted it on Facebook, because we were there the night that they unveiled like the banner, and there was like a Q&A with the players, and this was again the season before I got hired, but I got picked to be one of 5 people to ask the players a question. And my wife is sitting right there. I'm right on the aisle with the microphone, and up on the stage was LeBron and Kyrie was still there, and Kevin Love, and Channing Frye, like, and JR and Iman Shumpert, like all those guys coming off the championship. And so I asked a question to the team. K-Love diverted the question to LeBron to answer. So like kind of LeBron and I had like a little one-on-one there for a minute, which was actually really cool. But it's the only video that I had, and so my wife was like, "Well, why don't you just use that?" And she put that on Facebook. I'm like, so I went back through Facebook and found that video, and I saved it and sent it up with my application, and that obviously got enough attention with the Cavs, because they first of all, they knew that I was a fan. They didn't know at the time that I was part of the Wine and Gold, which is their season ticket program. Yeah. They didn't know I was a member, but that video was enough, because I was in the convention center on a microphone. I stood there confidently speaking, but then once I realized I was talking one-on-one with LeBron, I was obviously a little bit more nerved up, but again, that was on social media, and I was able to pull that and use it. So
yeah, it's big.
Content is great to have.
Yeah. We try to drive out as much content as we can.
As you should. As you should.
Especially this week. We'll talk about the content at the end.
Yeah.
Remind me. But yeah. So my next question is, so obviously I've mentioned it many times so far, is you came to Ron's class, but and I'm gonna give him a little credit. Ron gave me kind of the idea for this question. So when you were here at Boro, and you knew what you wanted to do, obviously, it's no question. How did you balance trying to do that and working towards that, but also balancing like your other schoolwork? Like, it's like that. You can thank Ron for that question.
Yeah, to be completely honest, the WFSC, when I was here for the 4 years I was here, was my life. I went through all my classes, I did all my work, I did everything. But if I wasn't, I had to go to class. But I spent a majority of my time here or over in Crawford Gym playing hoops. That was like how I spent my college. That's how I spent my days.
I like that gym.
And that was pre-renovation, renovated Crawford Gym.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it was. We're talking early mid '90s. So, but yeah, I found balance, like anybody should, to make sure that I'm meeting my obligations with class. But my heart and everything was in WFSC. We had an amazing team of people back then, and we had a lot of fun. And I did a couple different air shifts, and so I was on the air a lot. Yeah, I just found balance. I made it work. That's life. That's what you do.
Yeah. Sure, you'd be happy here. We still got some kids like that at FSC for sure. They're on the clock every single week. They're just pumping it.
And you got to. What we were just talking about with the resources you guys have here. That's why I came here. Yeah. Because like I said, Edinboro had like the arguably the best college radio station in the region. And that's where I want to go. And literally my first day on campus, I went in there, and I met some people. Said, hey, I'm here. This is what I want to do. The guy's like, well, I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna give you a shift. This is gonna be your show, and the rest is
I
history.
mean, yeah, the reason that we're doing this right now is because I sat in front of him in a class freshman year, and he saw me changing my fantasy football lineup before class.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
how we
started
met. That's how we
bantering back and forth,
Yeah.
and now we're here.
And here you are.
55 straight episodes of this show. Haven't missed a single week whatsoever.
met. Okay, that's
Technically,
technically.
haven't missed a
okay,
single week.
At least one of us has been on every single week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because in
that's
the
fair.
in the
'Cause, I
summer,
mean,
it's a little hard.
We've had episodes where we've been here in the studio. We've recorded an entire episode, gone in, card corrupts.
And we have
Lose
to
the entire episode. We come right back in and record it again. Yep.
Yep.
But we don't miss. I mean, even if it's just one of us, the one episode in the summer, it was literally just me by myself in my room recording an episode of the show.
I was on
He was on the
Alaskan
cruise, yeah.
Yeah, I was on an
But yeah.
Alaskan
Oh, well.
cruise.
There's always one of us on the show.
Yeah.
If-
We haven't missed yet.
If I was able to pay for free internet the entire cruise, I would have done the show on the cruise.
Yeah.
I
That
would have
actually
tried-
would
I
be
would
pretty
have
cool.
tried. I would have tried.
If you would have chimed in from up there, yeah.
Like I would have waited until we went to Glacier Bay to get that background.
Yeah, because then you could have just like chimed into the
Yeah.
Zoom call and had like a coconut drink in your
Yeah.
hand and be like, hey, dude.
Yep.
That
That would have been funny.
And just make sure my grandpa doesn't interrupt me.
Oh, put him on. Put him on.
Oh God.
Imagine his stories.
Let him talk about how Notre Dame won the Cotton Bowl in like 1960 or something like
There
that.
you go. There you go.
It's your turn.
Yeah, it's my question. I was gonna say, I got a little lost. Where we were.
We like to.
we like to
We
talk.
lose our train. We
It's-
lose our train of thought a lot.
But you know, it's free flow. You know.
It is.
Yeah.
But we just come out here and talk.
Right.
So I think most people watching could probably figure it out by now. But just like, how do you know Ron? Like, you obviously came in, you talked for the class, and that's where
Yeah.
you met Mike and everything like that. How do you guys go back?
We go back when Ron was actually at WCTL in Erie. I knew him a little bit then, and then years went by, and I know he'd made the transition and came here, and we reconnected just on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been really down here to do much. I mean, there has been some opportunities, but I was really excited when he reached out when the school year got underway and said, "Hey, I'm doing this." What was it called? Radio broadcasting class, or what was that class called? The one that
on air performance.
On air performance.
Yep.
And I was tickled that he reached out and said, "Hey, I'm doing this class.
Yeah.
I think you can come in sometime this year." I'm like, "How about next week?" And he's like, "Wow, yeah, okay." And it was great to see him, and we had a nice discussion of in his office before we came down for the class. So he's great. He obviously wasn't here when I was a student.
Yeah.
But obviously for what he's doing and what he's has done with you guys and this whole department, I think he's doing amazing work. So
Yeah.
Edinburgh's lucky to have him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we are,
for sure. I could definitely, because he's actually my advisor too, but I can definitely say he's definitely the best professor I've had and everything.
And I can see that, and even in that class that day, like the all the students were very engaged and very dialed into what was going on, and
Yep.
and like I said, you guys are really lucky to have him.
Yeah, and he tries to he holds down the fort for the radio side in the media department.
might be might be a free elective for me senior year if I have the spot open that class just for fun.
Go for
Yeah.
it. Go for it. Yeah. Go for it. But yeah, no, Ron's great.
Yeah,
Ron-
he
Ron's-
is.
Ron-
I
Ron's great.
wholeheartedly agree with that.
And I forget who I was talking with, but when I told this person that you came in and talked to the class, they were like, "Oh, can't wait for your feature with 2025." And you come in and talk to the class, and I was like, "Yeah, you're making me feel old already, but that'd be awesome. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome." But
Yeah, in a blink, I went from where you guys are to now being where I am in life. So it's
It's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
time shows no mercy. Trust me, when you get out of here, it's like, phew.
We were talking about that earlier today. Like, it's just a weird day. It's a Monday,
Yeah.
but like last week feels like 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Time just moves so
well,
strangely.
this whole year. I mean, we're in October.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
2023 has felt like nothing.
Let's just look at
Yeah.
it like big picture. It's like, oh, hey, Happy New Year, and now it's like leaves are falling, temperatures dropping. It's going to snow here
Yeah,
next week.
it's 50 degrees. We're gonna get snow in 2 weeks.
yeah,
Like,
I mean, for me, for the last 2 years, it went slow.
Yeah.
This year's going so fast,
Yeah.
so fast.
It only goes faster.
But yeah, I can't wait to see who when we come back, who interviews us for their
Yeah,
sports talk
yeah,
show.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah. So rumor has it, aka your favorite player is Mark Price.
That is correct.
What is it about Mark Price that makes him your favorite player of all time?
Well, I was introduced to the Cavs when I was a kid, and I just remember when I went to the Richfield Coliseum and watched the Cavs play, and Mark was always just one. Obviously he was point guard, shooter. Love that. I had like a 93 whatever percentage from the free throw line for his career. So the guy's just a baller. Wasn't the biggest guy either, but he obviously got results. And I was drawn to that, and he just became that player that I enjoyed watching. And that's in the middle of the Jordan era,
Right,
and,
yeah.
and everyone's like, oh, Michael Jordan or Larry
Setting
Bird
the
or Magic
league on
Johnson, like
fire,
all that.
yeah.
Everybody had those players, and even coming up through the years, being a Cavs fan, there's been a lot of greats that have come and played in Cleveland. But Mark will forever be my all-time favorite player, and I've had a chance to chat it up with him on a few occasions when he comes through, and
That's
Wow,
pretty
that's
sweet.
yeah.
awesome.
So it's and he knows, where he's at in my scale of all-time favorites, and super humble guy, very family oriented, just very down to earth, and he's always very nice to come over and say hello whenever he's in town, and it's always great to see him.
Yeah, so going on that, we got to do it. I get the preseason hasn't even started yet. Every show has to do it, though. Especially you obviously know a lot about basketball. Based on what you know right now, what is your ideal championship matchup this year? Like NBA Finals, who are the two teams that you think would be, like, what's the best matchup?
Cleveland
Yep.
versus. Obviously, it'd be cool if it was the Lakers.
Yeah,
Oh.
that would be
You know,
really cool.
And
You know.
LeBron, and then the Cavs win, and LeBron walks out, and then he joins the Cavs again next year.
You never know. Obviously, I'm going to be pulling for my hometown team.
Yeah,
for
for
the
sure,
Cavs,
right.
For sure. Out of the West, as we said earlier,
Could
both,
be anyone,
Both
yeah.
are totally up for grabs. It's so. With Phoenix, obviously, Denver still being who they are. You factor in young teams like Minnesota, and then Dallas is going to be relevant. We can't forget about the Warriors.
Right.
Sacramento.
They never go away.
Yeah.
Is Cam Johnson still on Phoenix?
He was involved.
He got moved.
He got moved.
Yeah.
I went to high school with his younger brother, so he's like one of the
Oh, cool.
Puff. Yeah, plays for Penn State right now.
Yeah.
It's the reason
Was
why-
one of my North Carolina Tar Heels before that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Cam Johnson was my pick guy. So
Nice.
Yeah.
So.
both left us.
But yeah, Cleveland versus whoever. That'll be my.
Yeah,
my
whoever
ideal
can make it out of the
championship
West
matchup.
this year.
Yeah.
There
It's
you
gonna,
go.
it's gonna be a dogfight in both conferences, and it's great because
Those are the best years.
it's so balanced now on both sides of the table with the NBA. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get started.
It's
exciting.
But I'm gonna try to make sure we don't hop around each thing. So I'm not skipping questions. I'm just
You're just changing the order on the fly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so for this next coming season, in your opinion, who do you believe will have the bigger jump, Darius Garland or Evan Mobley?
Well, Darius has already shown he's taken some big steps already, making the All-Star team in 2022. So obviously that's big. So that's obviously going to be on his radar to get back to that level. Evan, in my opinion, should have been Rookie of the Year. But Scotty Barnes obviously won the award and deserved it wholeheartedly. So Evan, I think, will take a big leap this year as well. Going into his third year, All-Star caliber player, all NBA type player. So I think they both will continue to make big jumps. And for me to get them to the finals, like we just said, and both of them are going to have to do that along with everybody else on the roster. So I think in their own way, they'll both make big steps.
So we've already alluded to it a couple times. This could end up aging poorly, based on what's possible. But what was it like calling LeBron's presumed final season in Cleveland?
Well, being there. I went to his very first game.
Yeah.
When he was first home game, because his very first game in the NBA was in Sacramento.
Yeah.
But his very first home game against Denver, Carmelo Anthony and the Denver Nuggets back then. I went to a bunch of games throughout that. I went to games after he left and went to Miami, and my kids and I were there on his return game against New York. Carmelo Anthony was on that team as well. So knowing when I got the opportunity to work over there with Cleveland, obviously I get a chance to sit and watch him now right courtside. And it even still, it was like, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing this.
As he's actively cementing his legacy.
Yeah. And we had a couple cool moments that year in 17-18. One being he got 30,000 points.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Did that on the road though in San Antonio. That did not
Right,
happen at home.
yeah.
We were hoping it would happen at home. It didn't. He had two big playoff buzzer beaters that year. Game 5 against Indiana, hit a 3 at the buzzer, and then hit a Game 3 floater against Toronto in the second round of the Eastern playoffs that year.
He's like that.
He also he did this at home, passed Michael Jordan for consecutive games played of scoring 10 points or more.
Oh,
which at
wow.
that time was, that night it was 867, and obviously the streak continues.
Yeah.
But that was obviously a big moment. Justin Timberlake was actually sitting right to my right that night as well. I think he was at the field house like the day or two after the game, but he was in town early and was there for that. So that was pretty cool seeing him there. But those are a few of the cool LeBron moments.
Yeah.
In addition to the big dunks and other game winners, he had a block shot on Jimmy Butler against Minnesota in February, and then we called a timeout. Inbound pass from Jeff Green. LeBron catches it at the free throw line, hits the buzzer beater, and wins that game.
Yeah.
And that was in overtime. It was like 141 to 138, I think, was the final.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a highlight reel. I mean, the things that he's done.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that gets that game record tag next to his name at the end of the day because he just changes everything for you.
Yeah, and the fact that he's still doing what he's doing, 21 years in, and it's awesome to see. I've always been a big fan of his, and I will continue to be. And we'll see what he can do this year with his teammates in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so throughout your entire career so far, and I know you've mentioned you had a few. What has been your favorite call in your entire career in terms of games? It can be SeaWolves, Cavs, either one. But what are some of the moments that really stood out to you?
Well, I mean, the SeaWolves, obviously, because that's still pretty fresh because they won the championship just a week or 2 weeks ago. That was obviously special to be there, to be a part of that, to be the voice in the ballpark for all the festivities that evening. That was cool. Basketball-wise, from the Cavs, I mean, I just mentioned a few of the LeBron moments. Obviously, and I think we were going to discuss a little bit too, is Donovan Mitchell's 71-point game earlier on January 2nd of this year against the Bulls. That was just something that I just watched happen, and I didn't believe that I actually saw it happen.
Yeah.
Because usually a record game like that, you're sitting out somewhere, or you're just at home on your couch, and your phone goes off, and you're like, oh, so and so is chasing 60 or 70, and I got to turn that on, and I was actually there for it, and that was unbelievable to watch. And even the All-Star Weekend of 2022, I was the voice of All-Star Friday night in Cleveland at the Clorox Rising Stars game. That was fun to be there and be a part of that. The NBA Finals in 2018, my first season, went all the way to the finals. The Cavs opened the season that year. Opening night was against Boston at home, which was my first game. I didn't even do a preseason game yet. I jumped right in and went right to national television.
Thrown right into the fire.
Yeah,
Right to the Wolfpack.
Kyrie just went to the Celtics, and so that game was on TNT that night, and that's when Gordon Hayward broke his ankle. That was my first game. That's how that went. And then I ended that NBA season, the 17-18 season, because Game 4 was in Cleveland when the Warriors won the title. So I was, I did my part in the trophy ceremony and in the read of that night. So I saw a lot my first year, and a lot of those moments came from LeBron and other guys.
Yeah, I remember. I was not watching the game that night, but I know my brother was watching it upstairs. The second it happened, he was screaming.
Yeah, it was bad, and the feeling in the building, and Gordon obviously had just gone to Boston, and they had a lot of big hopes and stuff for that year, and Boston still made it to the Eastern Conference Finals against Cleveland that year. But Gordon obviously has been able to recover and get back at it, and he's still going strong, and he's a very, very talented player, and it's one of those unfortunate things in sports.
Yeah, I mean, injuries can happen.
Yeah,
whenever.
that was a bad one.
They happen all the time.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but they happen all the time.
But since we mentioned Donovan Mitchell already, I mean, were you pretty tired at the end of the 71-point game?
Yeah, I was completely. Everybody in the building was wiped out because the game went to overtime.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was already, the Bulls were doing pretty well there for a while, and then it was just kind of like a normal night statistically. It seemed like for all the guys, and then something just happened, and then buckets started dropping, and I started saying Donovan Mitchell a lot more than I thought I would be at that stage of the game, and things just started to unwind, and then the missed free throw putback that he had, and then going into overtime where he was at the line to get 70 and then 71, and that's how it ended for him. I think everybody left the building over jubilated, excited, knowing you just witnessed something very special. Not even just from an NBA perspective, but it was an all-time Cavs performance, and we got the win, so that made it even more special.
Yeah, those are crazy moments like that, especially those moments like you talked about with Braun hitting all those, the game winners, the buzzer beaters, all of those. It's even worse when you're on the wrong side of it.
Oh.
Like my sophomore year was Puff's last year for our basketball team. We were really good. We were at the Peterson Event Center for the Whitfield Championship. And there was this kid, he couldn't have been more than 5'7". He was tiny. But he was just, from the line, from the three-point line, electric all night.
Who were you
Hit
playing?
him.
Do you remember?
Mars.
It was Mars. Okay.
That was Carmody's last year, too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He wasn't having a very good game. He was not very happy.
Yeah.
But just that, we were up 56 to 55. 4 seconds left. Just that moment the ball left that kid's hand, it was dead silent. And then as soon as that ball hit the net, straight through, just done. Just you can feel all the energy just like straight out of the crowd.
Yeah.
Because we're loud. Like I went to Moon. We are very well known in the Whitfield for being one of the best, loudest student sections.
So
oh yeah,
Newcastle
then
always had,
we played you guys in a lot of sports. We might have even played you in football still. That was still the
Right.
Parkway Conference, so
Yep.
we might have played you guys still back then. But
Yeah.
we uphold a legacy of being very loud and rowdy. So that moment just being utterly silenced is painful for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of sports.
It
you know,
is.
and
It is.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Yeah.
You get it all, and it just grabs your emotions and just.
We got revenge in the state bracket, so it was
Well,
all
there
right.
you go.
We won state that year. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
So the Donovan Mitchell thing was actually a two-parter, and this is from Josh Hiddle. So in your opinion, how far do the Cavs? Well, obviously I know how far they need to go, but in terms for this question, how far do you think they at least need to go to convince Donovan Mitchell to stay? I guess in Cleveland.
I mean, I think the season will determine a lot of good things, not even just for him, but for other players. But maybe people looking to come here as free agents, and even for a fan's perspective. But Donovan, I was at media day last week, and Donovan said very openly about his extension, and that's. Honestly, don't think that's really a concern of his right now. His concern is getting to know the new additions to the roster, and to start the season in 2 weeks and come out and play, an 82-game season that's going to be enough to get them a solid playoff spot, and let them run through every single series that they can advance through. So I like the fact that it's not really being talked about since he mentioned that last week. And we'll see what we see whenever the time comes.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about with anybody that works in any field in media, especially because obviously we all know, me and there's always behind the scenes stuff that happens that no one else gets to see. So what's your most bizarre story being an announcer? Like if it's like behind the scenes or like something you saw during a game, like what's the most bizarre thing you've experienced?
Bizarre thing that I've seen. I hate to say that. I don't really know of that. I really don't know of anything.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
I mean,
I think that's a good thing, maybe.
Yeah, no, because
Honestly.
obviously you pray you don't have technical difficulties or weird things happening or anything like that.
I mean, there's always little glitches. Like sometimes a panel will go out on the video board,
right, yeah,
or something will crackle that people are scrambling to correct. But that's out of my my reach. No, I mean usually the people speaking about Cleveland specifically, and the people that I work with over there, with the team as well as in the field house. I mean, it's such a team effort to make sure that the experience and the event and everything goes off without a hitch. I mean, there's so much preparation and so much rehearsal and everything else that everything is dotted and crossed multiple times to make sure.
I was going to say, obviously working at the highest level of sports at the professional level, there's obviously an incredibly high level of professionalism everywhere you go.
It's everywhere you go, and everybody's all on the same page. And going back to that word earlier I said about the respect.
Yeah.
Everybody just, I love and respect everybody that I work with over there. And it doesn't matter, if it's someone on the game presentation side or security or catering or wherever. It's just so awesome to be a part of it because it's all there for one
sure.
common goal to give the people walking through those doors an experience to kind of distract them away from what's going on outside the doors. And put on a good show, and they put on an amazing show.
Yeah.
And I'm just lucky to be a small part of it.
There you go. You mentioned this during Ron's class, but I guess go through your usual game day routine with the Cavs.
Well, we're getting to that point of the year where weather can be tricky, so I'm always looking at the forecast to make sure that it's not going to affect my commute over too much. If that's the case, I leave earlier. But I also we have our production meeting 3 hours before tip. So 7 o'clock tip, 4 o'clock meeting. I generally like to get into town about 90 minutes prior to that. Again, just to give myself extra time with traffic. I like to take a power nap in the car in the garage before I go in. And then I just head in early, just make sure I have all my bearings, all my paperwork, everything that I need. And then they hand out scripts and the game schedules and stuff, so we know what's going on, what break, and here and there, and halftime performance that night, whatever. So we go through the meeting, and we get downstairs. Our performance teams, we have a couple different dance teams. We have our 2-1-6 sticks. They are like drummers. We have a group called the Pogoliers, a pogo stick performance team. So if there's rehearsals, we have their run-throughs, and like I said, if there's a national anthem singer that night or a national halftime act, we'll do their run-throughs and make sure we have mic levels and things right. And then everybody just kind of breaks off, grab a dinner or whatever, and then doors will open 90 minutes out, and it's go time.
There you go.
So this is kind of like player interaction, like you said. Obviously, like one of your first big moments was that moment you kind of ended up having that one-on-one LeBron when you're asking that question and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But who's like the nicest, just like genuinely like the nicest Cavs player you've ever like had an individual interaction with?
Ever?
Or like just in general. That could be a general answer.
I mean, last week for media day, I was assigned. I was a player escort last week for media day, so I was assigned to George Niang. They just picked him up from Philadelphia, and he had played originally with Donovan in Utah.
Okay.
I was with him for probably 4 to 5 hours last week, and it was an absolute joy.
Yeah.
Such a nice guy, super funny. Just very engaging, very fun. And no matter what we had to do with what media outlet or the Cavs junior reporter, like all these things, super nice guy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I haven't had a bad interaction with any of the guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of them, come over and fist bump and say hello, but when I'm around them, it's game day.
Yeah,
so
it's
they're in their
business.
routine. They're in their it's game day, so they're getting ready for that. So if there is a passing moment to say hello, I'll take that. But if they walk by me and they don't say anything or whatever, I'm cool with that because again, I get it.
Yeah,
You're
it's
doing
business.
your thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the beautiful thing about sports, though, is you never really meet someone that's not happy to be there.
Right.
These guys are all living out their absolute dreams since they were probably this big.
For sure.
They're all getting to do exactly what they want to do with their lives. So I feel like there's not really that much space to have like a negative interaction like that or anything.
and even when they come off the floor, obviously there's a lot of fans that are waiting for like autographs and things like that, and they are very good with their time in that regard.
Yeah.
But then also with the understanding, like, okay, I've got to go back. It's
And sports are super high emotion too, obviously. So that plays a big factor in it as
for
well.
sure. Oh yeah, and everybody's got their routines.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So I mean, we mentioned it earlier about the SeaWolves, but they just won the Eastern League
Championship. Yep.
Now correct me if I'm wrong. Was this the second year in a row?
Second year in a row making it to the championship round. They played Somerset last year and lost the series 2-1. This year played Binghamton, who knocked off Somerset in the division series, and we won that series 2-0 because both series are best of 3.
Yeah, but I'm a big, of course, if you watch the show, everybody knows I'm a big baseball guy. I'm unfortunately a Pirates fan.
It's gonna happen someday. We all pray.
They actually reached the expectation we set for them this year.
They didn't lose 100 games. They did not,
and we said 75 wins, and they got 76.
And hey, let's take a look back on how the Orioles were those couple years.
True.
100 loss plus seasons.
Yeah.
I think they were the 2 out of 3 years they lost 100 games.
So, yeah,
something like that. Now look, they be patient.
Patience, yes, and guess what? Okay, there's evidence he doesn't, but the Pirates don't pay their best players. Well, I mean, Brian Reynolds is staying put for an awfully long time, so
That curve's starting to shift a little bit.
it's starting to shift a little bit. And Paul Skeens is
He's a stud.
he's a stud.
He's a stud.
And I was there at the SeaWolves and Curve game this year when Paul Skeens was there, and
There's a lot of promise.
He's gonna be special.
Tons.
Him and Dylan Cruz for the Nationals. So
And I think the Tigers are obviously very happy with the success of their AA, team with Erie. So a lot of the guys on the Tigers roster at the end of the season once
They're gonna
SeaWolves
be
uniforms. So.
Yeah.
now they drafted Max Clark, I believe.
Yes.
Or White. Okay,
Yeah.
Max. I knew it was either Clark or Langford, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely gonna be exciting when he gets
Yeah.
gets up to AA. But yeah, I mean, talk about just like the season overall in general this year. I mean, that's just crazy. When we had my dad's buddy on, who's the quarterbacks coach for the 2022
Grey Cup champions.
Toronto Argonauts.
There you go.
When he mentioned like winning a championship is just so surreal. Like
It's special.
it's special when you finally, because he was with the Cardinals when they lost to the Steelers in the Super Bowl, and a lot of what was it, NFC Championship games he said, I believe, AFC.
Yeah.
But finally to just get to that big one and everything, it's just that's special.
Mm-hmm.
But overall this season, I mean, I guess what are just your thoughts on the 2023 season?
It was great because even with the success of the 22 season, it was
Yeah.
like, wow, we actually made it to the championship series, and but the minors, your roster in 2022, you go to 2023, the faces aren't really, there's a lot of people, a lot of movement.
Yep.
And even this year, there was a lot of guys that came in, getting called up, getting called down, injuries, whatever. So, but there was just a good feeling all season. They clinched a playoff spot like halfway through because that's how the minors do it.
Yep.
So they knew that they were going to be playing in September, which was great, and they didn't really end the regular season on an extremely high note, and they played Richmond for the final series, and that's who they ended up playing in the division series, and Erie just kind of found something and did really well in that series, and then when we found out that Binghamton had upset Somerset, you're like, okay, well, it's going to be a new opponent for the championship series this year, and ended up being Binghamton, and Erie stole one there in game one, and all they had to do was get 1 out of 2 at home to win the whole thing, and it was exciting and fun for the city because the Bayhawks had won a division title, never went any further than that. Obviously, the Otters have had great success over the years with championship wins. The SeaWolves have kind of knocked on the door, then it was kind of not so much for those few years, and then they really just kind of pushed through the door these last two, and this year was the real big one, and it was exciting to be there, to be a part, just to watch this city come alive for this team, and the players, and it was great to have it happen at home.
Yeah.
Stealing one on the road is really important.
Yeah, especially
I
with how hot
believe-
Binghamton was, and
Even within the NFL, did Buffalo beat Miami in Miami last week?
I think it was in Buffalo.
Was it in Buffalo? Either way,
Yeah.
stealing a divisional win or an away game or something like that, stealing one of those early on is really important, whether it's in a playoff series or whether it's in a regular season game to fight for the division crown. That's really
Right.
important to be able to steal a big game like that.
yeah, because then you don't want to be looking back week 15, 16, be like, wow, we look back and this loss really
This one
this
loss,
turned
yeah.
the tide of everything, and now we're on the outside looking in because of that one loss. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yep, everything matters.
Yeah. How many more questions you got?
I have 3 more.
Oh, you have 3 more.
Yeah.
All right. You can go ahead and ask.
Okay, so yeah, we were just talking about young guys. Obviously, we were talking about Skeens. We were talking about guys like that. So kind of bouncing back to the Cavs for a second. Who do you think? It doesn't have to be a rookie necessarily, but just like a young guy on the roster. Who do you think could be like the biggest surprise for Cleveland this year to like kind of step up and like, even if it's not like a crazy role or anything like that, just step up as that next like piece, even if it's like at the bottom of the tower to hold it all up.
Yeah, I mean, again, without really seeing what some of the guys they brought in, and even like
Yeah.
Monty Bates, the guy they just drafted this year in the draft. I mean, we give all those guys time to get acclimated to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like new guys, Max Strus, George Niang, for example, Ty Jerome. But guys that have been there in Cleveland, I mean, Sam Merrill comes to mind. He spent time with the Cleveland Charge and then got some NBA time last year. Fantastic shooter. So I think a year under his belt is going to do much for his confidence.
Yeah.
Guys like Isaac Okoro who are entering like their 4th season.
Yeah.
And had a great year last year. Had a big a big shot late to beat Brooklyn late in the season.
Yeah.
Guys like Dean Wade. I love Dean Wade. So he's always a gamer when he gets in. So for him to get more minutes and more productive and out there on the floor. And then you have obviously your core guys. So it's a fun roster.
Yeah.
It's a full roster. Even bringing back Tristan Thompson. To jump off of not the young guy. He's kind of like the old spokesman on the team now. So, but he's got one of these. And you bring that into the locker room. That could do a lot for the guys, especially like a guy young like Evan Mobley. Yeah. Even Jared Allen.
That's a big deal in any sport to kind of have that core that can hold you up so that you can let those young guys succeed. We're seeing it with talk about the Dolphins right now. You see Devon Achane, who's just exploding the league right now at running back, and that's just because they have a veteran ahead of him. They have a good receiving core. They have a good, set of players, and now he can just kind of go out there and be a gamer.
Right, they're not one-dimensional.
Yeah, and then like you said in Cleveland, you've got that core. Now you can let those young guys just get out there on the court and be gamers and do what they want.
And do their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just play loose.
For sure.
Now, I actually, never mind. I thought I made up a question on the fly in my head and just completely forgot about it. So go ahead, Alex. If it comes back,
It flew the coop.
It's just right out.
Yeah, that'll happen sometimes. It happens.
So,
I'll say it.
we've talked about your career and your way of making it up through the system and everything like that. So like, just kind of like one of the last two questions, general, like, what's your biggest piece of advice for someone who wants to make it? It doesn't have to be necessarily in your field, but like your field or anywhere that like they have like the dream of like making it to the top.
Yeah, just believe in yourself and put the work in. I mean, nothing comes easy, nothing comes free. You're going to have to pay your dues, and obviously you guys are in college, so that's part of paying your dues.
Yeah.
But there's going to be like you want to get here, but you've got to start there, and it's going to suck to do like entry level whatever to really kind of put your footprint on something.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's the hand that you're dealt, and that's how life goes sometimes. And that's not even just professionally, but personally. I mean, there's going to be things that come along that you're going to be like, I want that, I want to get to that, but you're going to have to probably scratch and claw and dig a little bit and get knocked down a few times. But it's I think it was Rocky Balboa said it's not how many times you get hit, but how many times you get up from being hit.
Yeah.
And life is going to hit, and it's going to hit hard sometimes. But that's just the way it goes. Did you get your question back?
No, so
it's another reference.
So there's
he sat back like, I remember. Please shut up so I can get this question.
No, it's with the Rocky thing. So as Alex knows, as everybody knows, Alex has a vlog channel, and we did a fake story of me suing him for royalties, and we did like a whole trial thing. It was fun.
Oh, cool.
So
really
my opening statement, I memorized the entire
Rocky speech.
Like I nailed it on my first try.
The thing I just said about how many times you get hit, how many times? Really?
Yeah, that and the whole entire speech, I nailed it on my
entire
first try.
speech.
We can show you the clip after.
That's legit.
But nailed it. Like Joe was a part of that too. Richie was a part of that too.
They're laughing in the studio.
Didn't I nail that speech the first try? Yeah. We have no idea. Yeah, we have no idea.
We can't
hear Joe.
But yeah, I mean, we would be in the car driving somewhere, and he had like his sticky notes out with the whole thing written on it.
Yeah.
He's just reading it off.
I practice.
And then you just nailed it.
Yeah, we got out there, we put the camera on him, and he just
that was it. One
hit
take.
the whole thing.
Now nobody told me my collar was up on my sports coat, but
it was fine.
Yeah.
That's all right. We can look past that.
Yeah, we can. And we actually have a horror film coming up here pretty soon.
We do. We have that coming up.
Check that all out. But don't you have another?
Yeah, and like I said, the last thing I want to say about that is just what you said about, you take every opportunity you get. You don't say no because the next guy below you will come right up and snatch that opportunity right from you.
100%.
And I feel like hopefully Mike and I both, obviously, you have benefited from having great resources here, and it's obviously the best to get started as early as you can, make a name for yourself, build your brand, build your image. So we obviously hope to be the next generation of those kids that can benefit from having the systems in place that we have here. So last one, going off of that, with obviously you worked for FSC and you said it was your whole life while you were here and everything like that. What do you think would be the most important thing for us to do to keep that legacy going here while we're here, and to keep this department going and keep it strong?
Do stuff like you're doing. I mean, this is awesome. You have 55 of these that you guys have done. I mean, so obviously it's something you are committed to. It's not just like a flash in the pan thing. Like, oh, let's let's do this a couple of times and see how it goes. I mean,
No, right,
55 is a good number, and it's climbing, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
Definitely not.
So no, I love this. This is good stuff, and I'd love to know more about what goes on at FSC these days on how things, because how it operates in its program these days is a heck of a lot different than it was whenever I was here. It was pretty loose and free flow of, you had a noon to 3 shift, and it was a kind of like an alternative format. Whatever that meant, that's what you did. You made it your own, and you guys are doing something. You made this your own, and I applaud you for it. And this is great stuff to really get yourselves going in so many good directions, both with confidence of being on camera and doing research and preparing questions and working with your team of people in the back and making sure you have batteries for the mic packs.
Yeah.
Sometimes
that's the tough part, honestly.
Sometimes things fall through the cracks, but you make it work, and you guys are showing that you can make this work, and you're committed to it, and that's huge.
Yeah, and just like we have these moments from time to time, just like we haven't addressed it in a while, but like we genuinely, like, now having you on the show, and like we're gonna have another opportunity coming up here in a couple weeks for another situation similar to this. Yep. We have, honestly, like you said, there are times where things just fall into place at the right time and luck is at hand. We have genuinely gotten just ridiculously lucky with the opportunities we've had. Yep. Not many people get to interview a former offensive coordinator in the National Football League, a PA announcer for an NBA team. Like, we don't get to, not many people get just these opportunities that just fall into place like this. Yeah. So again, tying that back to what you said, you really do just have to not be scared. You have to talk to people. You have to ask questions. You have to not be afraid to ask people for things.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you don't ask, the answer will forever be the same. No.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you never know if you ask too. So
you could have sat in the back of the classroom when he came in and talked to your class. And
no, he was front. He was right.
You were front and center, and you made sure you were there. And you noticed.
ATL.
The car totally did not run out of storage just now.
We're back.
Which is why you see that weird cut.
You guys have no idea.
Yep. Nope.
It's like we never left.
Yep. So Alex, whatever your
what I was gonna say. The beginning of it, I might be reiterating what I said a little bit because it might have been on there. But what I was saying is, to be successful in any job, especially in the field that we are referring to, you genuinely, and again, this is not said in a negative way, it has gained a negative connotation, but you do genuinely you have to be annoying to a certain extent. Because the number one person that a GM, a president, a whoever, a hiring committee, the number one person that they'll think about is that dude that they're like, wow, he just doesn't go away, or he or she just doesn't go away. Like, every time there's something going on, we're hearing that person's voice. That is the number one person that they're going to look at whenever they're looking to bring someone in, is that person that is just relentless, always, every time, every opening,
persistent,
saying something,
relentless,
always.
All positives to do, because again, there's the world is so full of so many people jockeying for the same thing.
Yeah,
and we all want.
Exactly, and again, I've said that, especially with your industry, and I want to be a coach one day, the coaching industry. Mm-hmm. There are thousands, if not millions, of people that are all vying for that one or two positions.
Yep.
So you've got to make yourself stand out. You got to be persistent. You got to just let people know that you're there.
That's right.
Every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the last question that I have written down here before we get into some couple topics in the NBA, and then we're actually going to do our rapid fire for this episode. But everybody else's rapid fire, we'll reveal it on the live show this Friday at 7 o'clock on the Boro Now channel. Be there?
Be there.
The stream starts at 6:30. I made a highlight reel. Probably going to have to add footage from this because we're not quite at 30 minutes yet. But yeah, so bottom line, after it's all said and done and it's time to walk away from being the Cavs PA announcer, what do you want everybody to remember you for, and like your legacy as well as what do you want people to remember your legacy? Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words just because we had to stop for a second, but yeah, what do you want people to remember your legacy for?
I've never been asked anything like that. I guess
the
really,
L word's a big one.
Yeah, that is big, and growing up and when I first walked on this campus, that's a word that I would never have like partnered with me and whatever my story was going to end up becoming in life, because I had an idea, but I didn't know what it was going to be. So to answer it, based on what I have had a chance to experience in life so far, I mean, I would want people to say that, you know, I did what I said I was going to do. As far as like, you know, if there was something I really wanted to go after, I went after it. I was always willing to help those that were coming after me in the profession or whatever as I could do to help, and that I did what I said I was going to do to help them to the best of my ability. That I was obviously very, very giving and very supportive and encouraging, and always willing to extend a hand to anybody at any time, regardless of, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, regardless if it's you know, a CEO or someone working in the, you know, the custodial department or wherever, or a stranger on the street, that I would want to be remembered and known for just someone that was a good person all around, whether it was professionally or personally, that was always willing to go the extra mile to help somebody else succeed in this game that we're playing called life.
Yeah, there you go.
That's deep, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer for the first time.
That is
being asked
a-
about
I've never been asked about that. And
Yeah, it's a big thing because that, you know, obviously, like you said, it's been 6 years since you got the call and everything like that. 6 years tomorrow. So, you know, 6 years into your true career, you're not thinking about something like that very much. You're just kind of every day you just want to keep doing the same thing that, you know, whether it's to someone else or just to yourself, keeping that promise that you made. And that's really all that you're focused on is, you know, continuing to do that every day. Wake up and be your best self every day.
And continuing to learn and evolve. I think even prior to when I was here a couple weeks ago, I had mentioned that I was going to go and sit in with Todd J, who is Mr. Edinburgh, and shadow him as he announced the homecoming football game against Mercyhurst. Because I've been asked to announce football, but I've never actually done it, and I felt he's a great resource for someone that I could learn from.
Yeah.
And you never stop learning. And even in this day, I'm 200 and actually Thursday night's game will be my 261st in Cleveland, and I still will go home and watch back every game that's home, just to listen to myself and just to continue to get better, because you know even though you get to somewhere where you think, okay, I've reached the top, but you're never satisfied. You're always looking to continue to climb a little higher, work a little harder, do a little more, and never stop that process of learning and evolving. Even whenever you think you've learned it all and you've done it all, you haven't, because then there's something else will come along like, wow, I'm going to implement that, or I'm going to do that, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
And other things may open up, and I have things that could potentially open up because of things that I'm doing. So I'm excited for that, and if I'm lucky enough to continue that journey with those types of things, then that's great.
Yeah, and that's the big thing as well. There's no technical perfection ever. You know, technically, there's always something. That's always got to be the expectation. That's why I've seen guys like Deion Sanders now come in and have an immediate impact and, you know, influence a really bad program right off the gate. Is that, you know, even if there's no technical perfection, you always have to expect that excellency.
Strive for it.
You always have to strive for that excellency and that perfection, whether it's in yourself or your crew or whoever. You know,
That's
you
right.
gotta.
That's right.
You gotta
but
maintain
it all starts here. It all starts
does.
with you. It starts with the person you stare at in the mirror every morning.
Exactly.
That's where it all begins. And what you do with that when you walk out the door, it's entirely up to you. Sometimes fate gets involved and luck.
Right.
But mostly it's going to come from your efforts. And, you know, what you do today will impact so much down the road for you. And you may not know it now, but sooner or later that harvest will be picked.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can enjoy it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, I remember what I was going to mention, and I actually wrote it down here.
Was this the forgotten question from earlier?
Well, it's more since we were trying to roll here because we got the class coming here. But if you play NBA 2K and you play as the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland,
right?
You hear Sean.
You do.
That's still one of those things in my life that it's like people say, dude, you're in a video game. I'm like,
your voice is not only the voice for actual, like, real life, actual happening games, but like you're also like having your voice is in a video game where millions of people are playing it and hearing your voice.
That's pretty humbling.
That's pretty sweet. That's a pretty sweet thing.
I was actually just playing it last night, and even still, It's like, wow, this is not real because I have all 3 copies sitting out because we started in 22.
Yeah.
So 22, 23, 24. It's like, wow, this is actually.
And just that experience getting, like you were talking about it off camera, like flying to LA, getting to go in there, and I'm assuming meet those other people that are for other teams as well.
Oh, I've met them, not necessarily there because we did them during different gaps in our
During
season.
times, yeah.
But I've had the opportunity to connect with personally
Yeah.
some of the other guys in the league. But I've also connected with others through like social media and stuff, and hoping to one day get a chance to get to their building and meet them in person and see them do what they do firsthand, just like I do in Cleveland. So
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I hope to be in a video game one day too. All right.
Me too.
2025. All right. We got a couple topics about the NBA, and then rapid fire to close things out. James Harden.
yeah, the beard.
The beard. He.
There's
okay,
another inside
There's
joke.
another inside joke. Anytime Alex drinks anything,
Someone says something fun. It's usually Joe.
it's usually Joe.
Yeah,
It's
he's jumping up and down.
It's usually Joe.
back
It's
there.
usually Joe. I got Joe.
Something.
I can't repeat what was said, but I got Joe this year, so or just recently. So
We've only had 1 or 2 genuine spit takes, but
Yes.
most of the time
You kept
it's
that
like,
one down though. That
Yeah.
was-
yeah, no,
impressive.
I've become rather well-rounded in holding in my drink whenever someone says something
you've got
funny.
me a couple times.
I've gotten.
Absolutely say what made me.
No, I want to keep the show on the air, so.
Yeah, we're not gonna
so,
not gonna get into specifics.
So James Harden. He's always in the news. Let's be real, but he's not in my. You could definitely say he's probably not gonna be a 76er for long, maybe for the season. But where do you think he's gonna end up at the end of this?
I mean, we got to stick with the facts the way they are right now. He is in Philly.
Yep.
Even just this morning, and I've heard even the last few days that there is some possibility, maybe something with the Clippers, but I don't really know of a lot of other teams at this point of where we are in training camp and preseason with the regular season beginning in 2 weeks that there's going to be many other options for him.
Yeah.
But obviously the facts are that he's with Philly, and I would hope that that's he's obviously showing he's at practice. He's going through everything with the guys. So if something else happens in the interim to get him into another team, will I be shocked? Yeah, because again, where we are at this point of the year. But sports has a weird way of working sometimes when a trade or some type of arrangement would be done, and it's like didn't see that coming. So we'll see. But as of right now, he's a Sixer.
Yep. And
It's early. Always got to have those. I said it earlier. You always got to have the takes that are way too early, not nearly enough base for. And my personal favorite, I consider myself the Nick Wright of this show. I don't know how much you.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the three biggest kind of takes are completely, perfectly accurate, eventually accurate, or so completely off the mark that you just look like a total idiot for it. So.
Yeah. But and then the second one I have is Damian Lillard. Actually,
Dame,
we haven't
yep.
mentioned this yet, but he was traded to the.
Dame time.
Yep. He was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. What are your thoughts on that trade? That's ginormous for the Bucks considering you look at the starting 5 now.
Yeah, it is, and Milwaukee is already one of those elite teams, not only just in the East but in the entire league, and obviously they won a championship just recently. So Lillard was, he had some amazing run in Portland. I was kind of expecting him to end up somewhere. I think all summer long it was the Miami Heat sweepstakes. That he might end up there, and then things just kind of worked, and then he ended up in Milwaukee alongside Giannis and Chris Middleton, and the roster that they have there. So that takes a very, very good team and makes them significantly better in an already tough Eastern Conference, as well as, like I said, the NBA overall. I mean, the shift of where players have moved to this offseason, it's going to be fun. And I'm super excited to get after it and pretty soon. And so having Damian in the Eastern Conference now, I mean, I love the guy, so I was always excited when Portland would come to town. Yeah. So now I get a chance to see him at least twice, and then never know, seeing them in the postseason too.
I've got some buddies from Florida that are very unhappy. Very, very unhappy about that.
I can appreciate that. Yeah.
But all right, rapid fire. I'll talk about the once we have a definitive winners and one more game tonight.
Yeah,
because
we
of
do have
Monday
a couple
football.
being decided tonight.
Yeah. So and we will say this. Caden is out. We will not say why. Caden is out. We might be adding somebody else in, or it might just be 7 people. But I'm just gonna say there, Caden is now out. So.
Also, 4-1, best predictor in the whole league.
Yeah, shut your mouth. All right.
Is that right?
All
right.
I am the Nick Wright of this show, and I will be
But
forever.
but yeah. So all right.
All right, let's go.
So I could just write this down real quick. I can just put Chiefs down right now.
Yeah.
For the 3 of us.
This is, I don't know, I think you might have started explaining this to Sean about this earlier before we start recording. We do have a fully effective doctrine in place where we never pick the Broncos.
And we've been right 90% of the time.
Yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah. We're starting to think that our rule on that is genuinely affecting their ability to win football games.
Yeah, it's
You're welcome, Russ Wilson. All right. So London, Ravens at the Titans.
My Titans.
You going Titans? Oh no.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
They looked bad against Indy yesterday. So
And Baltimore obviously let one get away against Pittsburgh. So
1-6 in their last 7.
We'll get there. We'll get there Friday.
yeah,
Trust me.
I would say Baltimore in that one.
All right. Commanders at the Falcons.
Ooh, the stinker of the week. All right.
Again, we will talk about that on Friday at the live.
Yeah, I think Desmond Ritter's going to look bad against the Washington defense, so I'm going to go with the Commanders.
I will too.
Yeah. Commanders. One off game.
You
against the
scared me.
Bears.
Commanders against Chicago, but
And one cool thing about the Commanders, a fellow NBA colleague announcer, Mark Fratto, is the voice of the Washington Wizards.
oh yeah,
He's
there
also
you
the
go.
voice of the Commanders.
Wow.
He's a first year at in DC for those guys. So
I'm gonna totally forget to put this in later. The more you know. Vikings and Bears. Let me tell you, I'm in. Last week with
Justin
the Bears.
Fields is looking like a baller right now.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the Bears. I'm serious.
That's valid.
I'm gonna go with the Bears.
I am going to pick Minnesota, though. They looked really solid against Kansas City. This is a tough
where
one.
is it? Where is it Minnesota or in Chicago?
Chicago.
I'll go with Chicago then.
Oh, there we go.
That's a tough one because the Vikings defense is bad. It is better with Brian Flores.
Yep.
Should have never been fired from Miami, but Mike McDaniel's a dog, so.
Seahawks and Bengals. I'm going Bengals because in fantasy I'm about to be 5-0, baby.
Yeah, I think
Ooh.
Cincinnati's. They've got to continue to try to get things turned around. I think it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, the
before-
Seahawks defense has really been underperforming
Yeah.
compared to
I think
expectations. I'll go
Cincy's
Cincy.
on a little bit more of a upswing right now.
Yeah, they just put it down against the Cardinals, so.
49ers and Browns.
Yeah, I'm going to go Niners. After what they just did to Dallas last night. Yeah. I'm not picking against the 49ers anymore because it almost lost me the game this week in rapid fire.
So will you be choosing the Cleveland NFL team?
I mean, I'll go with San Fran.
Okay.
All power to him. Deshaun's had a couple really good games so far this year.
He has
He's looked like old Deshaun in a couple moments, so
a couple moments.
they're fleeting,
Yeah.
but they're there.
Yeah.
Panthers and Dolphins.
Dolphins.
Yeah, that's. Come on.
Just to backtrack for a second, the fleeting moments got Daniel Jones a 4-year, $160 million extension. So apparently we'll put a lot of money on those fleeting moments.
Colts and the Jags. The Jaguars are
Jags.
hot.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Jags.
Yep.
I'm rolling with the Prince.
Yeah,
I hated him in college, but I'm rolling with the
They
Prince.
figured some stuff out down there.
Yeah.
Saints and Texans. Ooh.
The Saints just okay. We're gonna talk about this on Friday. Bill Belichick has had his 2 worst losses in his entire career in back-to-back weeks. I'm gonna go with
I'll do New Orleans.
CJ Stroud's gonna have a tough test. I'm gonna go with my quarterback. I'm gonna go with the Texans.
He's an Ohio State fan.
I am an O State fan,
that's
so
fair. That's fair.
I gotta roll with my quarterback.
OH. That's fair.
Speaking of which,
Yeah,
again,
I'm gonna have to go Texans.
we'll talk about this on Friday as well. CJ Stroud has broken the record for the most passing attempts to start his career without a single interception.
I think I saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we will talk about. That's the last time we'll mention. We're gonna talk about all the stuff we have not.
We
mentioned
will
on
talk about
Friday.
stuff in depth on Friday
Okay.
for the live.
Patriots and Raiders. I'm gonna go. I'm
got Raiders.
Josh
going
McDaniels' revenge game.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Raiders.
Listen, after what Chandler Jones did to Mac Jones in that game last
Yeah,
year.
that's tough.
Cardinals, Rams.
Yeah, Rams. they're proving doubters wrong compared to what they were expected to be this year. Puka Nacua.
Eagles and Jets.
Birds.
Yeah, I'm going
Birds.
Birds.
I am feeling so confident right now that I'm going Eagles.
Yeah, okay,
That's a sick.
The Jets defense could give the Eagles some fits, but
Not enough.
Not enough.
Never say never.
he picked the Jets to beat the Bills last year,
He did.
and they won.
Lions and Bucks. I'm sticking with my man Dan Campbell.
They are rolling.
That's a gamer game right there. With
That
Detroit.
is a gamer game.
Yeah. In Tampa or in Detroit?
Tampa.
I think Detroit's just.
I think they're too nice.
Yeah, I think Detroit's got it. I'm gonna go with the Lions.
Listen, they did what they did. Granted, Carolina's probably the worst team in the NFL, but they did do what they did to Carolina without Jahmyr Gibbs or Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they still hung up 42 points.
There you go. Giants and Bills.
Giants.
Bills.
Yeah. Though the Bills, even though they came off a loss to the Jags, I'm still going the Bills.
I'll go Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen still looked like a gamer
He's
against
still-
Jacksonville.
yeah.
Like, it's, yeah.
Yeah. Cowboys and Chargers.
This is probably a good game
Yeah.
for all
Yeah.
the wrong reasons.
I'm gonna go Cowboys. Just for Ron. Just for Ron. I'm gonna go the Cowboys.
For Ron to the Cowboys.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
I'll go that.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys, too, because I don't like Brandon Staley.
I'll do that for Ron.
Yeah. So, all right. Sean, thanks for coming on to the
Yes.
Thanks for having
to
me.
the show.
God, this is like, we have gotten really good, like,
Yeah.
and like I said, we've done the Coach Miller interview. Obviously, we did that last winter, but like we've just gotten really good lucky to like. There's like, not saying this about anyone because we haven't had this happen, but there are genuinely just times where people are not the greatest interviewees, but like we've gotten really lucky.
Yep.
You were great to have on, like,
Yep.
and Coach Miller was too. Like, it's just great. You gave so much more than what the question was asked at hand. So like,
Yeah.
this was really fun. We both really
Well, yeah.
appreciate you
No,
being
I
on.
appreciate you guys having me in.
Yeah, and I hope we weren't Chris Farley.
This was awesome.
But just so we're gonna throw out some dates here. The Cavs home opener is, I believe you told me, the 25th against Brooklyn.
Well, that's the season opener.
Season
In
opener,
Brooklyn.
yeah.
Home
yeah,
opener is the
season
27th.
Oh, that's right. So
Against
yeah,
OKC.
in Brooklyn. Yep, 25th, and then home opener OKC on the 27th. So check those out, and then of course tomorrow against the Hawks, the preseason in Atlanta. Sorry, the Hawks are probably gonna win. But so make sure, ladies and gentlemen, to tune in this Friday, Edinburgh Now channel for our live show. The stream will begin 6:30. Hopefully, begins 6:30.
Yeah, we'll be running preview highlight
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like we did last time.
And then the show will begin at 7 o'clock. And we also are going to be introducing a new segment called the Athlete Spotlight with different athletes here at Edinburgh University. And you just want to say who the first one is?
Matt Carlisle.
Our guy, Matt Carlisle, the quarterback, our good friend. So we'll be doing that. And yeah, so that's paper toss.
Oh,
Paper toss.
whoops.
We got this from. Can you take a guess where we got this paper toss?
PTI?
Idea? Yep. PTI. So yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, we will see you this Friday. Hopefully, if I get this
Live
up tomorrow.
show part 2.
Yes, I can see it's still recording, so I'll get it all up.
Get flagged.
So yeah. So Sean's got the flag. Alex has the paper, and we will see you on Friday.
Good night, America.
See ya.
That was a terrible one.
It's all right.
Yeah, good.